Hello, my name is Ann Rosso, and today I'm representing the League of Women Voters of Washington County. This 30-minute Mayor's Forum is one of a series of Meet Your Candidates programs that's brought to you by the Government Channel and the League of Women Voters. Now, the League does not support nor endorse any particular candidate. Rather, the League invites the community to be involved by hearing the candidates' views on important issues that we feel like will keep the city vibrant and strong. Today, we welcome the two candidates in the race for mayor of Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'd like to introduce to you Mayor Lionel Jordan and former Mayor Dan Coody. Thank you both for being here.
It's good to be here.
We're going to be asking some general questions in order to educate the public about certain issues, but if you, the viewers, have specific questions, I know that they would welcome your calls directly. So in order to frame up our time together in the next 30 minutes, you will each be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. Following that, I'll do a series of questions, and that you will each have 2 minutes to respond to those questions. At the end of the questionnaire period, at the conclusion of that, we will be given an additional 2 minutes for your closing remarks. Now, the candidates have flipped a coin to determine who goes first for the opening and then again the closing statements. It was determined that Dan Coody would go first for his opening remarks. Dan?
Thank you. And thank you for doing this tonight. The reason I'm running for mayor again is to return a more creative and entrepreneurial perspective to City Hall. With the growth of Fayetteville and our sister cities, we have to have a long-term vision, a plan of action, and drive. If we take a passive and rudderless approach to our future, it will not turn out well. Today's mindset in the mayor's office is that we cannot afford big ideas or to make investments to secure a bright and vibrant future. This confirms my view that there is simply no recognition of the enormous opportunities that are at our doorstep. And if we can't recognize opportunities, we sure won't know how to seize them. Instead of investing in our future, we are simply collecting tax money from our citizens and hoarding it in the bank, calling this good management. When I was in office, we accomplished very large and complex projects and initiated some of the most popular amenities that we enjoy today. We made long-term investments in our roads and wastewater system, 3 new fire stations, a new library, senior center, trail system, sustainability office, rebuilt the square, beautified an important section of College Avenue, added several hundred acres of green space and parkland, much of it for free, increased pay for our city employees, and developed an exceptionally professional staff, created beautifully landscaped intersections around town, and we planned for a very forward-thinking future. And we did it with less tax money coming in the city coffers than is coming in today. Now we must invest in the arts, comprehensive sustainability, facilities for high-tech manufacturing, and city beautification if we are going to design a more fulfilling future for ourselves and for our children. If we continue to believe that we are too broke to invest in our future, then that will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We have proven we can embrace big ideas that will help Fayetteville achieve its incredible potential and add money to our coffers at the same time. The current thinking is that we can't afford to have a clear vision and do big things. I say we can't afford not to. That's the choice in this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Lionel?
When I first took office, we suddenly discovered there's 2 types of government you can have. You can have a consumer-based government that says, what's in it for me? What do I get out of it? It's all about me. It's all about me. And it can't exist without me. And what we've tried to do through Fayetteville Forward, which is the umbrella of the plan that we have for this city, for the finances of this city, for the growth of this city, to move this city ever forward. What this does basically is put partnership-based government back to the people. You see, folks, at the end of the day, it's all about you. When we talk about consultants, instead of going out and spending lots of money for high-dollar consultants, the people are my consultants. They set out a plan, an 18-point plan through Fayetteville Forward that we are right now doing, and we have moved this city further and farther than it's ever been before, and it's because that all of you have invested your time and your life into this city. You see, partnership-based government, my friends, is all of us together. From wherever you come from, whatever your background is, you are all a part owner of this city. We're partners together. We move this city forward together, and we will make it greater than it's ever been before together. Thank you.
Thank you both. Let's start with Dan, if you'll start with you. You've both been mayor of Fayetteville. What do you think your greatest accomplishment was, and perhaps what is your biggest regret?
Oh, golly. Biggest accomplishment, there are a long series of them, but probably the most popular one is the trail system. It was modeled after the Madison, Wisconsin trail system. And with the City Council's help, and thank you, Lionel, for supporting this initiative, we all worked together, and we did accomplish a trail system that was leading the way in the state, and it, I believe, helped pave the way for the Razorback Trail project, which is going to be making this town beautiful and access all of Northwest Arkansas. But it's more than just that. We changed the direction that Fayetteville was going when I took office. It was all development, it was good development, all pavement, all commercial development was great, regardless of what environmental impact it has. We turned the ship of state to a much more progressive and artistic, aesthetically pleasing, and more forward-thinking progress mode. And that took a lot of effort, and a lot of you remember those days. So what we did, we took that all business is good business, regardless of the consequences, and we married that with the idea that business and environment work best when they work together. And arts is a key proponent of that. When we put the trail system in, that changed the way people view and feel about Fayetteville. The sustainability initiative that we built at City Hall made us nationally recognizable. We were getting accolades from all over the United States. When I was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I helped 60 other mayors develop the same program for their cities. We've been recognized for disaster relief, for all kinds of things in Fayetteville, but it's because of the leadership that was in place. We all have to work together, but there has to be a central point of leadership to say, this is the direction we need to go. All of us need to work together to go this direction, and this is how we can get there. We were able to accomplish a lot that we couldn't have without a clear vision of the future and a clear direction. And I think that's the one thing today that I think we need most is a clear direction. Bentonville certainly has a lot of direction, a lot of drive, a lot of vision. The other cities have a clear plan and they're making motion in that direction. And Fayetteville is the one in the chain that I don't think has the long-term vision and the direction to get us where we need to go.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, you know what, I think some of the things that we have done, and the most important thing for any elected official, particularly during the times that we face right now, is to be able to properly manage the taxpayers' money. Year after year after year, we went into reserve, we went into reserve, and we went into reserve, and we got deeper and deeper and deeper in debt. In fact, the city debt in 2001 was $21 million, and when I took office, it was $144 million. We were facing the worst recession since the Depression. The budget that I was working with, you couldn't hit a 3% growth. You couldn't hit a 5% growth. It was an 8% swing. And the challenge for me and the city council and the staff, I have a tremendous city council and a tremendous staff. We went to work together and we said, we're going to have to cut expenses. And we ended up cutting $3.5 million out of a general budget after we've been told year after year after year we couldn't make any cuts. Well, we did. And then at that point in time, about 2010, the economy switched. And we started making 5% on our sales tax dollars. Now, I don't know much about vision because I didn't have time to develop a lot of vision. I was too busy trying to save this city from going completely under during the worst recession since the Depression. And thanks to a city council, a great staff, and hard work, we managed to do just that very thing. Once again, it's about all the people together. Right now, we have created 240 new businesses and over 850 jobs during the worst recession since the Depression. Put more money back in the reserves where we've got a little bit of cushion that we did not have when I took office. That's some of the accomplishments that we have done.
Thank you. Lionel, let's start with you. Again, since you both held this office, what lessons have you learned that will cause you to approach the job differently this time if you're reelected?
Well, now that the economy has turned, we can look at a little bit more vision than what we had before. What I have is more of a common sense vision. You see folks at the end of the day, you got so much coming in, so much going out, and your job is to keep it between the road ditches. So you've got to be able to take the amount of revenue that you've got and develop your vision according to that revenue. But I want you to know that the business community, we're in Forbes number 19 in the nation for doing business in the nation. We're in the top 10 in most categories of best places to live in the United States. So what I want to do is continue to build partnerships. That's one of the things I do well. We've got the best partnerships with the University of Arkansas and the Chamber of Commerce and the school board and the county that we've probably ever had. And everybody will tell you that. I will challenge you to ask the people that have served with me and the people that work for me how well we do together. The vision is to create what I would say the connection with Fort Smith, where we can work and do waterway traffic up the Arkansas River and float barges up that river. Once we do that, that's 15 cents a mile. We cut down CO2 emissions, which we know is 400 parts per million that we need to keep under control. It helps build our economy because it drives the costs on businesses down, and it cuts back on oil and gas usage in the United States. So that's some of the long-term visions. We're going to continue to work on those alternative mission and program that we have, like Arkansas, Missouri Railroad, passenger rail back up through Fayetteville again. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, the same question. What lessons have you learned that might cause you to approach the job differently if reelected?
Well, I wouldn't sweat the small stuff so much, although details are a trifle and details make perfection, and perfection is no trifle, according to Ben Franklin. But I do have to say one thing about the budget. I left office and this financial situation was very strong. We left over $9 million in the bank in unreserved fund balance. Right now it's 12, so there's not that much difference between when I left and today. Yet we have had attrition, we haven't put the right people back on the street like police department. And if the thing about the way that city government works, the mayor doesn't write the checks. The mayor doesn't decide what we're going to do and just go do it, and the council has nothing to do with it. In this form of government, the city council approves every budget. So if there was a lot of debt, if there were a lot of consultants hired, the city council had to approve the budget and hire the consultants. And I know that there have been consultants hired since you've been in office, Lionel, so you can't say that hasn't happened. And you know that the economy was tough, yes, but it only dropped 5.7% between the high and the very low, and I wouldn't call it a crisis for any city. Yes, it's tough times, but 5.7% I wouldn't call a crisis, especially when there's more money coming in now than has ever been coming in before. It went from $35.5 to $33.5 million income. We left $9 million in the bank. The economy for Fayetteville has always been strong because we're recession resistant thanks to the state income from the university, which we're really grateful for. But to say that the city council and the aldermen on the city council have nothing to do with the budget is just not true. And you know that since you're mayor and you've been on the council. We all know that. But the city council does approve the budget. So anyway, I want to say that this, what I would do differently is not sweat the small stuff so much and focus more on the big picture items, because while I think barge traffic in Fort Smith is great, we need to partner with Bentonville's the Crystal Bridges, and we need to develop more of the art scene in here, because that's the future for Northwest Arkansas. Science, technology, the science of sustainability, and the arts.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, Dan, let's start with you. It seems as if sustainability has been a buzzword that both of you use. How do you specifically define, envision, and approach sustainability?
You know, sustainability hasn't been a buzzword for long, and we were doing sustainability before it was cool, but sustainability essentially means that we use resources in such a way that we don't use them up, that we leave resources for future generations. What that means is we conserve energy, we don't burn fossil fuels, and we make sure that our food processes, food sources, we need local homegrown food security in Fayetteville. That's one thing. Food security is going to be very important, not just for Fayetteville, but for the whole country. And the more we can become secure regionally and with our own work and our own thought processes on how we grow food here, the safer we are and the more economic development we get, because we keep our money local. If we grow food locally, then we're able to save money by not having to go ship stuff all around the country. We save CO2 emissions. But sustainability is an interesting thing just to say, I support sustainability. But my wife and I have lived it all of our lives, at least since I was 20 years old. That's a long time. And as a matter of fact, the house that we built has been certified by a third party, HERS Rater, and certified as the most energy efficient house in the United States. And obviously nobody else in the country has been able to say that. We walk the walk. When we talk about sustainability, we don't support it because it's cool to be green and it gets votes to be sustainable. We live it and we invest in it personally. And when we were in office, we did a very good job of raising the bar for Fayetteville and sustainability to where we got to be known as rock stars in the country. Other cities larger and richer than us were following our lead by doing things that they had never thought possible before. One of the things we did to save money was to hire a sustainability coordinator. I got the city council to go along with that. They gave it a 1-year trial. And I promised them that after 1 year, if we didn't save more than the position cost, we'd let it go. The first year, we saved $330,000 just from adding that position and being much more cognizant of our energy efficiency and energy use.
Thank you. Lionel, the same question. Can you define, envision, and how do you define, envision, and approach sustainability?
Well, instead of us talking about all these lofty definitions, let's cut right to the nuts and bolts of stuff, what we've done since I've been in office. The state's first low-impact development ordinance. State's first energy-efficient residential building code, 2009 codes. State's first streamside protection ordinance. State's first solar biosolids drying facility. State's first NWF certified wildlife community habitat. We strengthened the hillside development ordinance. First city named to the AWF Governor's Conservationists of the Year. Energy efficient LED street pedestrian and trail lights. Established community gardens in city parks. Tree planting and distribution to restore our urban forest. Built a new LEED Gold certified district court building. Energy efficiency revolving loan fund for nonprofits. Fayetteville Forward Green Economy Action Group. Arkansas Sierra Club, Local Public Official of the Year. Green Jobs Training Center of Excellence, where people that have lost their job can go back and be trained and have some hope for their families where they don't think they have a prayer. Government channeled Green Your Life educational series. Commercial recycling, expansion, and glass recycling commercial down on Dixon Street for the first time. We don't just talk it, folks. We live it too.
Thank you, Lionel. Lionel, let's start with you. Obviously, parking is in the entertainment district has been a hot topic fraught with divisive opinions. How do you address, or how will you address, the future of parking in the downtown area and entertainment district? And also, how will you balance kind of the economic and the convenience factors between the city and merchants and the patrons?
Well, I can tell you a little bit of history about the recycling program. It started about 2005, first presented to the council, which we tabled to look at again. We didn't see it again until 2009. I shelved that plan because I wanted it to be a little more comprehensive and include residential in it. So at that point in time, we started...
Excuse me for interrupting. I was talking about the parking.
The parking.
Parking, yes.
Well, that is part of
the
because,
recycling.
because you got to get to the parking, to the deck to understand.
Okay, excuse me. I'm
so
sorry.
Anyway, so we started on the paid parking program. And after that, we floated a bond over a year to look at it. And after a year, if we had enough money, we were going to start to build the parking deck. So the parking deck is something that we've talked about for 20 years. So you had to have the revenue stream to build the parking deck, which we now have. We have $5.5 million to build that deck. And it's going to take care of the parking issues down on Dixon Street. It's going to promote the business folks down there. Right now, the HMR taxes are around 8%, and the sales tax is over 5% down there, so everybody seems to be doing pretty well down there. Now, there has been some confusion between the paid parking and the private lot owners, but we're getting that worked out. But we need to move forward with the deck. We've talked about it 20 years, and one of the main things that the business owners wanted when I met with them before we started the paid parking plan, their number one thing was to get that parking deck. Now we're on the threshold of doing that. We will have that to the city council in October, and they will make that call. But you had to start with the paid parking program to get to the parking deck to advance what we're trying to do here.
Thank you, Lionel. The same question, Dan. How will you address the future of parking in the downtown and entertainment district, and perhaps balance the economic and convenience factors in regard to the city and the patrons
I'm
and
sorry we
merchants?
just have 2 minutes, but this is the biggest issue on the people's minds in Fayetteville right now, and I would handle it completely differently than we are right now. Number one, I wouldn't borrow a total of $10.1 million after payments to build a parking garage. Have a completely publicly funded parking garage put on public land is not going to generate any income, any property tax or sales tax. It's not going to add one more new person to come downtown. What it is going to do is lock in this paid parking program that we have for the next 25 years to pay the bonds off. And I don't think we have $5.5 million. I think that's a bond that hasn't been sold yet unless things have changed. But what I think we should do is absolutely look at changing our whole focus on how we deal with parking in downtown, because in our downtown master plan, which we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on for thousands of citizens coming forward, said we want to increase the walkability of our downtown. We want more on-street parking. We want to access existing parking lots. There are 5 parking decks down there that are already built and paid for. They're virtually empty, a lot of them, after hours. One of them right next to the Walton Art Centers has 1 or 2 floors that they could lease to us inexpensively because it's underutilized. We have parking lots downtown that are virtually empty after 6 o'clock in the evening. Why would we need to build another parking garage? It's not going to generate any new income and any new interest in coming downtown. What we tried to do when I was in office, we put a request for proposals out to the development community around the country that do civic centers, arenas, art centers, parking garages, and we said we want somebody to come in with a proposal to build us 200,000 square feet of new commercial space, retail, live work, and a theater, and all the requisite parking, and a 500-seat parking garage. And we got 3 bids. One of them was great, and that one said they would build all that for us on their dime. We wouldn't have to sell bonds to do it. And then we'd be getting property tax and sales tax off that because it'd be in private hands, not public, off the tax rolls.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, Dan, back to you. How should Fayetteville position itself to recruit business, industry, and talent?
Well, I tell you what, the more we increase our quality of life and the more we get known nationally for what we have to offer here, the easier it is for people to recognize that Fayetteville, Arkansas is not some outpost. If we develop more of a reputation like the beautiful and wonderful small cities of America, it's easier to people to think that they can come here and set up shop. One thing I think we need to do first is take the old Tyson Mexican Original building, which is really falling into disrepair, and repurpose that for an art center and or technology manufacturing center so we can complement the university's research and technology park. There's a lot of potential there, and we have to start capitalizing on it. The arts and technology go hand in hand. It's, I call it left brain and right brain creative powers joining forces. Where you have the arts, where you have theater, art, film, and music, you'll find the young techies coming in. And when you have the young techies coming in, that develops the future economy just like an art scene and a music scene does. Austin, and I use Austin, everybody says Austin is what, Fayetteville is what Austin was 40 years ago. So there's a warning for us about how we can get too big too fast and ruin our quality of life, but there's also a lesson in there for us about how we can capitalize on the things that worked for them. They wanted to focus on 2 things 20 years ago. One was music, one was technology. Look at them today. Now, if we could learn from the best of what the best cities have to offer and be forewarned about the things where they did wrong and they would do it over again differently, then I think we could continue to make Fayetteville one of the best cities in America.
Thank you, Dan. Lionel, same question. How should Fayetteville position itself to recruit business, industry, and talent?
Well, some of the things that we're doing is, of course, we're doing the Good Job Training Center, which trains people in the new areas of craftsmanship. And that's a very important thing. We got a $3 million grant from the state of Arkansas. Also, we're recruiting. We have business recruitment is really huge on my list because Fayetteville had the reputation when I came into office of being business unfriendly. And now that has changed, thanks to the work of all of us together. The Tysons building, I would like to talk a little bit about that. My staff, we did the research on the Tysons building when I first came into office, and they said that building was much more valuable torn down than it is standing upright. First of all the copper wiring's been taken out of it in 2006, so you'd have to completely rewire it. The roof is shot, and it's a hazard. What the staff recommended to me to do was to tear the building down and sell the land because the land was more valuable than having the building in the land. But the city council, we're looking at the proper market for that building. But we continue to grow the business community. Most of it's attitude. When we talk about a regionalism, right now the mayor of Bentonville, Rogers, Springdale, and Fayetteville travel to Washington, D.C. every 2 years together as a group with the Chamber of Commerce's to promote business. We have had businesses invest over $500 million in this city in the last 3 years. So we're going to continue to do what we've been doing.
Thank you, Lionel. Well, unfortunately, our time is getting a little bit short, so our final question, and Lionel, you're first, is what question do you wish we would have asked but didn't, and you can respond to it.
Me?
Yes.
I would like to ask the question on mass transit, on my position on mass transit. If I was asked a question of me,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
mass transit. I am a big supporter of mass transit. I think that is absolutely one of the most important things we can do because it gets us off the fossil fuels. For every bus that we can put on a road or bike or walk, that's important. That's why this election was so vitally important that we lost. Now, I looked at the voting records and my opponent didn't even vote in that election.
Dan, the same question. If you had to, what question did we not ask that you would like to cover?
Well, I would like to follow up on this. Number one, mass transit is important, but how we achieve that's something else. It's easy to say I support mass transit. It's another thing to say we need to have a half-cent or quarter-cent sales tax to approve it because I support funding mass transit. I don't support adding yet more sales tax to our already too high sales tax burden. That's a problem. I know there's a half-cent sales tax coming up on roads here pretty soon, but those are long-term permanent sales taxes. Short ones where you can take a short bite, accomplish a big goal, and back it off, that's one thing. But a permanent addition to the sales tax is something else. I supported mass transit, but I didn't support using it by building it by sales tax. The question I'm sorry that you didn't ask was about College Avenue and the old Mountain Inn site down here. The old Mountain Inn site, of course, is an eyesore, and for the last 4 years, nobody's done anything to touch it. And I tell you what, that is something that has to be addressed, and sooner rather than later, because businesses look at that and they don't think that we care about our community. The one part of College Avenue that looks good was it took a lot of work and a lot of creative thought and working with the highway department and everybody else to make that happen. But if we're going to be looking at mass transit and public transportation, we have to look at the rest of College Avenue, how we can clean that up, beautify it, make wider sidewalks, make ways for bike lanes. That's not impossible. It's hard, it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And plan for clean fuel buses to where you can have a pull-out, or some people suggest trolleys. I don't know the best answer on that. But we have to plan for rebuilding College Avenue to make it beautiful and more functional and more aesthetically pleasing and bring more businesses down there. When people drive through Fayetteville, they see used car lots and shuttered buildings, and just college does not bring people to this town very willingly, and we've got to fix that up. That's the scar across the beautiful face of our city. And we really need to work on College Avenue. It was not easy to do it then, and I think that's why nothing's happened since. We really need to focus on that.
Thank you both. Well, the coin toss determined that Dan should give his closing statement first. Each of you have 2 minutes, and each of you have agreed that you will not introduce new information or have accusations. Rather than it'll be a summary of your position. So Dan, would you go first, please?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate everyone coming out and listening to us blather on tonight. I wish it could go on longer. I know that you asked if we could do this a little longer tonight. It was scheduled for 30 minutes, and some folks here said, well, we would like to go longer, and I know that the mayor here is too busy to stay any longer than this, and I wish we could stay here all night because it's very important. As a matter of fact, it's so important. I think that the public really, really needs to have an opportunity to visit with both of us and ask us each questions, and we should stand there and answer questions directly from the public and give them direct, unrehearsed, unvarnished, unprepared answers to the best of our ability, because I think that goes back to the old democratic processes of how we used to elect officials and not be distant and insulated from our people. So last night I invited Mr. Mayor here to join us at the town center.
Get into this.
And am I off?
A little bit off,
here?
yes.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Okay, I would
rephrasing.
like very much to invite the mayor to join us for another public conversation one of these days, and we can work together on a time and a place and all that. I would like to invite you to come answer direct questions from the public and take all night to do it if it takes it, because I think that's what's important, not just for this election, but for the entire democratic process. I know I'm willing to do that. Are you?
Dan,
Mr.
let's just
Cootie,
go.
you're making your final comment.
These are
You're
your
done.
final remarks. If you'll go ahead and just tell us a
Yes.
summary of your. Are you finished, Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
Staying on track here, First of all, I have 5 town hall meetings a year and have ever since I've been in this office, which is a total of 20. Mr. Cootie showed up for 1 last month, but we won't get into all of that. But here's my solemn pledge to you and all the people of Fayetteville. No one will love this city more or work harder to keep it sound. I get up every morning and I come to work. I go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, and a short day for me, 6 to 6. 6, sometimes 7 days a week. And I come to work with one thing on my mind. How can I make our community even better and help everyone have a brighter tomorrow? I love this city, and I love my job. It has been a great honor to serve the people of this great city, and I hope you will keep me on it. Thank you.
Thank you both. Well, this concludes our time together. I'd like to thank both of the candidates, Mayor Lionel Jordan and former Mayor Dan Cootie, for being with us. Best wishes to both of you.
Thank you.
Remember, if you do have specific questions, we're not quite done. If you do have specific questions for the candidates, I know they would welcome hearing from you. Early voting begins on Monday, October the 22nd at the Washington County Courthouse, and the election is on Tuesday, November the 6th. I'd like to thank especially Steve Odom from the Government Channel and the League of Women Voters, especially Mary Alice Serafini, Betty Lou Lancaster, and Beth Barham for their contributions in making this forum possible. The League wants everyone to get out and vote and be confident that your vote is heard and will count. So on behalf of the League of Women Voters and the Government Channel, thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you will take time to get out and vote. One last thing, if you are interested in viewing this video online, you can feel free to check out the website of Fayetteville, accessfayetteville.org, and you can also see the schedule for the repeated viewings of this tape. Thank you very much for coming here.